Hi everyone. I want to take a few minutes to talk with you about your upcoming QEP project. And so first of all, I want to talk just a little bit about QEP in general, as some of you may not be familiar with what it is. And then I want to show you where the various documents and things that you need are, and I want to point out where they should be submitted and things like that. So first of all, if you're not familiar with QEP, QEP is CSU's Quality Enhancement Program, and its focus is on real-world problem solving. So Finance 3105 is one of the first business courses where they wanted this implemented, and I implemented it last semester in my face-to-face class. There were a couple of other business courses in which it was implemented last semester as well. I'm not sure which ones those were, so some of you may have had some exposure to QEP previously, and for others this may be your first exposure. But again, basically the focus of the QEP is on real-world problem solving, and they want you to get more practice working with solving problems, and they've broken it down into different components. They talk about discover, design, and deliver. So you discover the problem, you design a solution, and then you deliver it. And so that's kind of the framework that we take. Now, with each of these QEP projects that you do in the various classes, in addition to the project itself, you have to complete a QEP We Solve It report, which then I have to apply a rubric to separately from your actual report and compile all the results and submit those to the university. So anyway, that's just what QEP is, and now I want to take a couple of minutes and talk with you about the project specifically for this class. So if I scroll down, don't need to scroll down, we just need to go into Unit 1, and if you scroll down in Unit 1, you'll see a formula QEP Financial Statement Analysis Assignment. And you'll notice there are a lot of things in here. The assignment itself, some spreadsheets to go with it, and I've already opened these things up because my computer's a little slow. So let me just go down and start with the assignment itself. Okay, so the assignment itself is here. And you'll notice one thing I highlighted is this should be done in groups of either 2 or 3 students are fine. And basically what it is it's a financial statement analysis project. You've taken a job with a company, they've asked you to analyze its financial statements and determine what kind of profitability problems they may be having. And so it's fairly open-ended, but basically you're applying the different tools and techniques that we did in class. And so what you'll be submitting with this is, first of all, you'll be submitting a Word document that contains your executive summary, basically your write-up of your analysis, what the problem is you've identified, and your recommendations and so forth. It should all be included in this executive summary. And I've also included a guide on executive summaries to help you with that as well, and I've got that pulled up. I'll show you in a minute. But basically, this should be a professional document. So if you've taken a job and your boss asks you to write up a report on something, it needs to be well written, well formatted, and easy to understand and follow. So the executive summary guidelines here will give you some more information about the summaries themselves. Now, the second thing you'll submit is an Excel file, and the Excel file is going to contain the spreadsheets of your analysis. And again, this is a professional document. These should be well formatted and easy to follow. Let me jump over here for just a second. Let me go back. Okay, so you see right below the assignment is the Excel spreadsheet. This is your base spreadsheet. This contains the information you need to analyze, and if you open that up, what you'll see is this file. Okay, so this file contains the income statement and balance sheet for QEP Corporation. You've got 4 years worth of financial data, and what you'll do is you'll apply the different techniques we did in class: common sizing, percent change, ratio analysis, and so forth. And there's a recorded lecture out there that's financial statement analysis in Excel, and if you watch that, that'll give you a real good idea of what you need to be doing with this. So the first tab is where your financial statements are, and this tab contains some peer group average financial ratios. And why are these here? These are so you can benchmark. When you calculate the ratios for QEP industries, you need to be able to benchmark against something, right? You can benchmark across time to see if the ratios have been improving or getting worse compared to what they were previously for QEP, but you can also benchmark against its peer group. And that's why these ratios are here. So after you calculate your financial ratios for QEP, comparing them with these will give you some extra insights into how QEP is doing. So that's your base spreadsheet. You'll just open that up, do your calculations, and once you've got your calculations done, then you can start on your actual analysis. And again, watch that recorded lecture on financial statement analysis in Excel, and that'll help you out a lot. Okay, so back to the assignment. The other pieces you have to turn in, one is a PDF file that contains basically printouts of your spreadsheets. Okay, even though this is an online class and you're not going to give me a paper copy, I want to make sure you know how to use Excel to format your spreadsheets for printing. And if you create a PDF file of your spreadsheets, then that'll show me that. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so yeah, I do mention that your spreadsheets should be formatted for printing. You know, initially I said your spreadsheet should be well formatted and easy to follow. There are actually kind of two different parts to that. One is on the screen, they should be well formatted and easy to follow. But another is when you actually print them, they should be well formatted and easy to follow. And a lot of times people have a large spreadsheet and they just hit print without setting up any of the print options, and it just prints on 15 pages of paper. It's got a few words on one page, a few columns on another, and it's just impossible to follow. And so just because your spreadsheet looks good on the screen, which it should, doesn't mean it's going to look good when it's printed. And so I've got the Printing in Excel link out there for you that will kind of show you how to use Excel's print options. You should be familiar with this from your MISM class where they teach you to use Excel and so forth. But a lot of times I have students who either don't remember or maybe they didn't get it in that class. But it's still very important that you're able to print. So take a look at the Printing in Excel, and if you have any questions about how to format your file for printing and use the different print options. And as far as actually creating the PDF file, if you're not familiar with how to do that, there are a couple of options, and I just stuck them in the footnote down here. You can either print to some kind of PDF creator that loads into your computer just like a printer, or in Excel you can do the Save As function and save it as a PDF. In any event, make sure that your PDF file contains all of the pages of your report. Okay, so yeah, and down here is just the information that you have in the spreadsheet. So your balance sheet, income statement, and the peer group averages. Okay, so that's the assignment itself. Now the last thing that you have to submit is your We Solve It report. Now the We Solve It reports have to be done individually because they're going to be tied to your 909 number, and I have to submit them to the university. And you have to submit a We Solve It report or you won't get a grade on the project. Okay, so each group will submit a Word file, and it doesn't matter who in the group submits it, just as long as it's got everyone's name on it. Each group needs to submit the Excel file that goes with that, and each group needs to submit the PDF file printouts of the spreadsheets. But each individual person has to complete the We Solve It report. Okay, the next file is the project guidelines, and this is the file I was talking about as far as guidelines for your executive summary, or the summary for your report. And if I can click on it. And so what it does is it kind of gives you an idea of what your report should look like, what information should be in it. And one thing about these reports is they should be self-contained document. Someone who doesn't know what the assignment was should be able to pick it up and read it and know what you were analyzing and what you found and what you were recommending. In addition, they shouldn't have to refer back to your spreadsheets for various things. I mean, your spreadsheets would definitely be attached to an executive summary and would be there for them to look at if they wanted to, but when you're referring to numbers in your discussion, if you're talking about return on equity, you don't want to say return on equity went up between 2016 and 2017. You want to make sure you include the numbers with that. So return on equity went from 11% to 19% from 2016 to 2017. Something like that. So someone can just take this summary, they can read it, they get a good understanding again of what you're doing, how you analyzed it, what your results were, and what your recommendations are, without having to flip to the spreadsheets and everything else. So that's kind of the first piece. It also has a section here on common problems with reports, and a lot of times it's poor grammar, things haven't been proofread, things like that. Now, if you've got 2 or 3 people in a group working on this, they should be well written. There shouldn't be grammatical errors, right? If you've got that many people proofreading it, they ought to be in pretty good shape. So I really do expect that. And then I've got some common problems with spreadsheet formatting and so forth. So take a look at this document. This is the link to the printing in Excel. I just saw this and realized that link's not going to work because that's on the CSU servers. So I'll have to see if I've got an MP4 for that I can upload for you, or if I don't, I'll just record a new one and put it there. So yeah, this link isn't going to work for that, and so I'll check on that. But anyway, this document will give you a lot of information about how to prepare your summary and format your spreadsheets and things like that. The next item in this folder is the project grade criteria, and this just gives you an idea of what I'm looking for when I'm grading. And it's actually, fairly broad. For example, to get an A, it needs to be well written, well formatted, well organized, shouldn't have grammatical errors, and you should have some good analysis that's well reasoned and so forth. At the same time, your spreadsheet should be, well formatted, the numbers should be accurate, and again, you've got 2 or 3 people working on this. They should be accurate. And one thing that's important is you should be using formulas and cell references throughout your spreadsheets. So anyway, you can look through that as well. The last 3 things in the folder are drop boxes, and the first one is the initial completed spreadsheet. Now this I do want from each individual person. Okay, because I always get people telling me, hey, so-and-so didn't do anything in my group and so forth. So to start with, I want everyone to construct their spreadsheets independently of one another. And then once you've constructed the spreadsheet, you submit it to this Dropbox. Then you can get with your group members and compare spreadsheets. This is how you can catch a lot of mistakes. Okay, if you agree on everything, then your spreadsheets are probably pretty good. Now, if you've got different numbers for different things, then you need to look at it and figure out, where the problems are. And so by creating 2 spreadsheets or 3 spreadsheets independently, you should be able to minimize any errors with those. So again, for the initial completed spreadsheet, this needs to be submitted by each person. Each person should complete their spreadsheets independently to start with. The second Dropbox here, and that's due on the 14th, I believe. Look at the calendar. So yeah, or the 16th. So your preliminary QEP spreadsheets, and this is again each person individually, those are going to be due on February 16th. And then let's see, your actual QEP completed report is due on the 26th. So that gives you about 10 days to reconcile any differences in your spreadsheets, to discuss the analysis, to write up your report to make sure that you proofread it, and so forth, before submitting the final version. And when you do get ready to submit it, this is the Dropbox you'll submit it in. So here you'll submit your Word document of your report, you'll submit your spreadsheets, and you'll submit the PDF file that's basically the printout of your spreadsheets. The last folder is for the QEP We Solve It report, and you can actually find the We Solve It report and the We Solve It report rubric attached to the Dropbox here. I've already actually opened those up for you. And so the We Solve It report looks like this. And so you'll have your name on it. Each person again does it individually. Your student ID is going to be tied to it. These are the reports that I submit to the university. And what it does is it asks you various questions about your work on the project. Okay, so what was the real world situation that you or your team addressed in the assignment, and what ways might this be a problem? Okay, so you're trying to define the problem here for this first part. So this has, about 13 questions that you need to answer. When you turn these in, which is actually a couple of days later, I didn't want you rushing to try to get these done when you hadn't put the finishing touches on your report yet. So I actually made the We Solve It reports due March 5th. Okay, so that way you'll have plenty of time to focus in on it without worrying about this separate We Solve It report that you have to do. So anyway, this is the We Solve It report that you complete. Now, once you've completed that, I have to score it for the university, and this other document is the rubric for the scoring. And so you may want to take a look at this to see what it is that I'm actually looking for in your responses to those We Solve It report questions. For example, in the first couple of questions on the We Solve It report, it doesn't ever really ask you to define the problem. It puts it in parentheses, but the questions it's asking aren't really asking you to solve the problem. But if you look at what they want for the rubric, what we're kind of grading it based on, it's demonstrates the ability to construct a problem statement with evidence of most relevant contextual factors and so forth. So anyway, this rubric, if you want, take a look at it. It will kind of help you figure out what it is that they're looking for on these We Solve It reports. And actually, I said I have to go through and apply this rubric to them. After I do it, once I send this stuff to the university, they've got another panel of 3 people that are going to apply the exact same rubric to your We Solve It reports. Okay, I think that's about it as far as the project and the We Solve It reports go. So again, just to summarize, the project should be done in groups of 2 or 3 people. However, kind of to ensure everybody's participating and I don't get all the complaints about people not doing what they're supposed to, I want each person to complete the spreadsheets initially independently and go ahead and upload them to this initial completed spreadsheet folder. Okay, and those are due February 16th. Once you've got those done, then you're going to get with your group, you're going to compare spreadsheets, you're going to make sure you agree on everything and hopefully catch any problems in this stage. And then you'll go ahead and analyze the spreadsheets together. And then you'll write up the report. You want to make sure that everybody's working on it, everybody's proofreading it, come up with a good solid report, and then that is due to be submitted here along with the final spreadsheets and the PDF file of the spreadsheets on, I believe it was the 26th. Then once that's done, you need to complete your We Solve It report. Again, each person does this individually and submits those to this box, and those are due on March 5th. So if you have any questions about the QEP assignment or the We Solve It reports or any of this, just let me know and we'll get them taken care of.